I had an opportunity to go somewhere else, and that fell through really late on, which was a real nightmare for me, because then that meant I was out the game completely. So that was probably one of the regrets. I'm Kevin Nolan, former manager and professional footballer. It was something I knew that I wanted to do when I was at a young age, and when I was at Bolton I used to run a Sunday league side, and we were very successful. You know, I used to do that, you know, after the Saturday game on a Sunday, go training with the boys, and then we used to be able to get the games on the Sunday, knock back so I could get back in and then manage the Sunday league team, so which was a men's football team. And I knew from then that, you know, I wanted to do it, and you know, we got a bit of success on the Sunday league. We won a national cup, we won a few you know, domestic trophies, won the treble and stuff like that. So it was something which was always ingrained that I wanted to move on to in you know, when I was finished. You've got 20 lads, 24 lads, whatever it is, you've got them every day coming in, sort of wanting to work, and you've got to put sessions on, and you've got to put things on to make sure that they keep them ticking along, and then over Saturday you're just so excited about going out and hoping that it all comes to fruition, really. I found it quite strange being a player manager, because you go off and, you know, you have your sort of team off the field, and they sort of see something different to what you see, and you're not within the game. So I remember going in one game and he was like, we can't get the ball down, we can't do this, we haven't passed the ball 10 yards, the ball's always up in the air. And I said, the wind is swirling like you'd never believe, it's so difficult. So, you know, that was a major factor which I sort of picked up on as a player. But what it also did, it also put a lot of pressure on me on the field, so I was trying to do probably too much instead of just concentrating on the playing side of it when I was actually playing, and then doing the management side of it during the weekend when I wasn't on the pitch. So yeah, it was different. Whereas as a manager, you know, you work all week, and then you're hoping to see, you know, it all come to fruition on a Saturday, and if it doesn't, it sort of really eats at you, if you like. Couldn't see it ever happening in the Premier League. I don't think it would ever happen again. I think maybe Kenny Dalglish was probably the last one to do it when at Liverpool and be successful. So yeah, it's something which I think is way out of the football now. You might see it within a couple of lower league teams, but I don't think you'll be seeing it for long. I don't think it's changed a lot. I think players have always had the power. Players, you know, because of the way the footballer is. You're the footballers. You're the ones who go out and do it week in, week out. So if we dug in and got, you know, what we wanted something, then majority of the time you'll get it. And I think the biggest thing now is it's blowing all over social media. That, you know, there's a lot of stuff which years ago people would never have ever heard of what's going on at clubs now, and would never ever have seen, or, you know, got the ability to see some of the things what we see now going on behind the closed doors of the Premier League. You know, the access what, you know, media outlets have now, and the access what, you know, Sky and BT and all these major companies have to grounds. It never was like that at our time, but I don't think there's been a shift in player power. I think it's always been there, and it'll always be the same. It'll never ever go, because obviously they are the footballers, really, and they're the ones who, you know, go out there and do it every week. When I was playing, I think Sky Sports brought the fan zone, you know, and when you were on telly, they brought the actual fan zone, and, you know, it was amazing listening to what a fan would be going through during the game. And I found that quite funny, but I think sometimes now it's sort of used in a more negative way, them channels, to sort of oust maybe a player, or oust a manager out of his job. And I think that's sort of what we've got to sort of be you know, we've got to be wary of, if you like, that we don't use these just to sort of be able to have a go, shall we say, at managers, have a go at players. They're used in the right way, and the channel's used in the right way. I think they probably would have an effect in dressing rooms, because, you know, they get so much exposure, you know, from, as you said, you know, from the media stuff, and the way all Twitterers, and even me not being on them, I still get sent them, you know, on group chats or wherever, what this fan's been saying about this player or this club, or and it's crazy for me. Yeah, I think, you know, they have a lot of sports psychologists now at many of the clubs, and they certainly did wherever I was at when I was a player, which you know, you can sort of go. And that was always key for me, because it was I never ever went to them with major problems. I went to them to have a chat and just sort of talk about life in general, and just sort of be someone different, not the Kevin Nolan the footballer, it'd be more Kevin Nolan the person, and you know, sort of get a view of how I could sort of be a better player or a better person to make me a better, you know, character all around the dressing room and everything else. So I think there's lots of support mechanisms now in football to help with this, but it's still an issue which is ongoing, and it always will be, I think. When people talk about it, it enables us to do something about it, and I think that's the most important part. I would have liked to have played for Jose Mourinho. I think he was at the top of his game at the time, and I think if there was someone who maybe would have tried to get get something extra out of me, it could have been him. And you know, what I've heard about how he worked, the way he was on a day-to-day, you know, speaking to Joe Cole, and what he done with Frank Lampard and things like that. You know, I think he could be someone. He would have been someone I would have really enjoyed working under, I think. I'm going to be biased, because I'm going to say Steven Gerrard in terms of what he done, and I think, you know, what he's achieved in the game in terms of. Because obviously being from Liverpool and growing up knowing what he's done and stuff, and I think there was a time at Liverpool where he sort of, you know, he dragged them to places where they would never have been if it wasn't for him. I think, you know, naming all the rest I've just named, you know, they played with some wonderful players and were very successful, and you know, Vieira, Keane, you know, fantastic footballers, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, you know, you can go on Makelele, or I could keep going, because I just think the generation where I grew up in, the generation where I played against, I think that was one of the best generations the Premier League will ever see. I don't think there'll be a generation where it'll get better than that. I think I was so lucky to grow up, but then probably so unlucky, because I didn't get the opportunity to get England call-ups and stuff like that because of all these great players and fantastic players. But yeah, if I was going to pick one, I think Steven Gerrard would be my one at the minute. I was lucky enough to play in some fantastic games, and obviously scoring the hat-trick when we won 5-1 against Sunderland was a memorial day. We were brilliant that day, and we really took the game to them, and to score the hat-trick 24 years, I think it's since the last one when I scored it, was brilliant. And you know, the reason why I like it so much too is that I didn't lose one as well, so that's always something I can be proud of. I didn't lose a Tyne-Wear derby, which always sits well with the Newcastle fans anyway, and brilliant times up there, but one of the most special days I had as a Newcastle captain. I probably wouldn't have left West Ham as early as I did, in terms of I would have sort of settled down and gone, you know, sort of took my position where I was. I think, you know, I had an opportunity to go somewhere else, and that fell through really late on, which was a real nightmare for me, because then that meant I was out the game completely. So that was probably one of the regrets, but apart from that, I love my time as a player. I really enjoyed every moment of it. I wouldn't change it for anything in that terms. The clubs I played for, I was very lucky, you know, at Bolton, giving them one of the most successful periods of their time. Then going to Newcastle and having the success I did up there, and then going to West Ham and sort of pulling them from, you know, somewhere, you know, they were in a real bad state when I walked in there as a captain of the dressing room and stuff. But you know, to get them and leave them where they were once I'd finished was a real honour of mine. So yeah, I wouldn't, no regrets, but I say no regrets, but I think the one regret is that I left probably too early. It's massive to have a good education behind you. It gives you some discipline to make sure, because that's what you always need when you're looking forward to going into football environment and stuff like that. It takes time for people to adapt, so getting your education and doing well in that sets you up for hopefully what's going to be a successful one in football, if you like. Just enjoy it. First and foremost is enjoy it, but to work hard, because in football you get your rewards. You know, people see that. They see that you wanna learn. They see that you wanna be there. You know, there's nothing worse when you're a manager and you see someone moping around, or you know they're not happy with the environment. So embrace the environment, enjoy the environment, and sort of give your all in the environment. And you know, more often than not, like in any walks of life, the more you do that, the more positive reaction you're going to get from everybody else, and it'll be positive for you moving forward.